Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and I just got back from the new film Snowpiercer. This is the English language debut of Joon-ho. When a lot of foreign directors make their English language debut, it feels a lot more neutered, it feels a lot less adventurous. It feels like the money men got to them too hard, and they're too concerned with having a career after that film and not as concerned with making the kind of film that made them such a name in the first place. I've actually not seen a film by Bong Joon-ho before, but judging by what I've seen from other and majority of foreign directors who come to either America or with American money and make an English language debut, this is very adventurous, very interesting, and very strange, and not the type of film you really would expect from a director trying to make it in America. It's almost like he doesn't care as much. He cares more about making a weird, interesting, odd little movie. It has a plot that I think even the director knows isn't very realistic, but is having so much fun with, he doesn't really care. While also talking about a kind of a class war and the problem with social classes while doing a modern blockbuster action movie. After Earth sent up spaceships with chemicals in them to stop global warming, and the chemicals had an adverse effect and froze everything. However, one man decided to build a super train, kind of like a Noah's Ark, that will run forever when the planet freezes, because he knew this would happen. Unfortunately, no one would listen to him. His name is Wilfred, and he runs the train. That experiment to stop global warming happened in 2014, which is this year, so that should happen any day now. The day that happens is July 1st, 2014, which I believe is when this video will come out. 17 years later, in 2031, on the eve of its 18th year of running, Curtis, played by Chris Evans, wants to start a revolution and get to the front of the train because they live in the tail of the train, poorer, more desolate, lower class region. And they got on the train for free, while the other higher class people paid to get on the train. So Wilfred feels that that's where they should go. And Chris Evans starts a revolt and uses his friend Jamie Bell, John Hurt, and Octavia Spencer, and they try to fight through the train and take the engine, which, since the engine controls everything, they will control the train, and they have to fight Tilda Swinton, playing a kind of Margaret Thatcher in an over-the-top crazy way only Tilda Swinton can, slowly discover what's going on throughout each of these cars and finding new surprises at every different car of the train as they go on. That's one of the things I think that I like the most about this film and keeps it fresh, because they're on this train the whole movie. It doesn't feel claustrophobic, since every new car has a different surprise. As an audience, since Chris Evans doesn't know what's coming next, the film doesn't know what's coming next, and you don't know what's coming next. They don't really go forwards in the train. If the film has gone to a certain point, they will go back through the train, but they will not go further ahead. So as the film is going on, you're learning more and more about the train. It's a really smart narrative device because you have the element of surprise as an audience member, but you also are learning more about the history of the train. You're learning all sorts of things about the train that these characters presumably already know. They seem to already know them when they're told to them. It is an easier way to get that information across to the audience, but I think it works actually very, very well, because when you're getting that information across to the audience, it's getting me more intrigued in the history of the train, how this thing happened, how this class system was set up. It's strange, like, feels very Gilliam-esque. It feels very surprising. He's also having a lot of fun with it. The classroom car with Alison Pill as this deranged pregnant teacher, and then going into trains where there's, you know, a huge action sequence, and it really doesn't stray away from being kind of a big, almost blockbuster movie, while also being a very strange, arty film at the same time. So it's almost like an art blockbuster, which is something I don't think we really see anymore. And Bong Joon-ho, I think he gets that it's an odd idea. That just seems bizarre. Why would you have a train with all these people on it? He almost seems to get that it's a bizarre system. It takes itself seriously, but it's not without realizing it's a bizarre concept and kind of just stepping into it full force. Chris Evans does his usual kind of Captain America role that he's very good at. A lot of people love his performance in the this film. I think it definitely showed a lot more range than he usually does with Captain America. I like him a little more when he's in his Captain America role. I feel like he gets to do more in that, but I still think he does a really great job in this film and anchors this film very well, and he has to do very dark moments, and he's not as sure of himself as a leader, and he does that a lot more convincingly than I would think he could. He doesn't exactly know what he's doing, but he keeps chugging along. Tilda Swinton playing this kind of crazed, like Margaret Thatcher-esque leader representative of the latter part of the train. It's the kind of bizarre portrayal I think only Tilda Swinton could really do. Why we're lucky to have such a great actress like Tilda Swinton, that she can really nail a role like that and play it up. But you can tell she really loves being this kind of over-the-top character, and only like a really great actor I think can really nail kind of such a bizarre character like that without it getting completely ridiculous. And a film that's been brought up a lot in the comparison to this film is Elysium, and how Elysium really failed at doing what it was trying to do, and Snowpiercer does what it's doing a lot better. The reason for that is because Snowpiercer goes into its concept understanding that it's a little silly, but it lets it explain its class war dynamics a lot better than Elysium. It's also more surprising and interesting and not as convoluted. So I think it has a lot to do with that as well. There's a lot of class war films that, like, you look at a film like Metropolis, which Elysium borrowed from a lot. And I think the reason that film and Snowpiercer are films that work very well, not that this is as good as Metropolis, but, you know, is that they have a really clear sense to their narrative that you can really get through, and you can really understand, and you can be like, hey, how come these people have so much more than the people in the tale? And it does actually make you think about the 99% and the 1%, how the disparity of wealth in most of the world. In Snowpiercer, it portrays it as if they have it because they're accustomed to it, and that's the way it's going to be forever and always. You never portray the upper class particularly well in these films, but I think it brings into question why you would view them any other way, because they're not really fighting for their stance. They're kind of almost don't even notice them going through sometimes. It's almost like the train represents them going through the classes. I definitely very much like this movie. I think it's so strange. It's like, I'm not going to forget about this film. It's definitely a film that is captivating. It grabs you. I like what it's saying about social classes, but I think the odd train idea turns me on as much as it turns me off. Okay, it's a strange idea, but you're going with it, and I like that it's a different kind of blockbuster very much, but I also kind of think it's just like too outlandish at times, but I also like it for being outlandish. I'm a little evenly split, and I think this is definitely a film I want to rewatch, and I will rewatch, and I think it's made me think about Bong Joon-ho, because he's a director who, this would be the kind of concept for a film you'd see that would get buried and get bad reviews, and then you'd see it on TV at 2 a.m. for some strange reason, and you'd watch it and go, that's why everyone forgot it. But it seems like he has more inspiration than a lot of directors of concepts that get that kind of treatment. It feels like he gets what he's doing and why he did this type of narrative. He's not just doing a strange concept to do a strange concept. He gave it more purpose. Maybe I do like it a lot more, and I'm just being undecisive for no reason, and I should just get over myself and realize that this was a very different, interesting kind of blockbuster, and the kind of blockbuster directors we really need right now. Everybody's trying to do things to make a film that's more digestible and accessible. In a lot of ways, Bong Joon-ho does that and doesn't do that, because he almost refuses to give you kind of a softer, more digestible film. But at the same time, the way he structured this film and the way he's made this film made it very easy to watch this film. This film is very digestible in a lot of ways. He's kind of the way I feel like I should feel about Gilliam, but don't anymore, is the way I feel about him in this film, because it did give me a sense of wonder, but it gave me a sense of wonder with a sense of purpose and a sense of him saying something with it. And it's not just a quirky film for the sake of being quirky. It is a strange and odd concept. It kind of proves itself as being more than just the strange frozen earth train movie. It gives you more than that, and I feel like he had fun with the concept and got what to do with this kind of film. There's always things written every summer like, this is a blockbuster for the rest of us. This is the smart kind of blockbuster. And it's always like some small indie movie. But I think this is the different kind of blockbuster, because it definitely wants to be a big, expensive movie. And it is a big special effects, big action film with a lot of inventive, cool action sequences in it. But it's more than that. It's adding on to that and playing with that. I think that's why Snowpiercer is such an interesting, different kind of blockbuster, and why Bong Joon-ho is an interesting, different kind of director. He likes to riff on an odd concept and have something to say with it. And that's what he's done with Snowpiercer. And it's made for a really kind of odd, arty, strange, surprisingly good blockbuster that you never think a film like this would be from just the concept alone. So if you have seen Snowpiercer and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.